Today I have the great pleasure to interview Loren Sparling. Loren has taught a course on History of Sicily here at the Center for Italian Studies, Babilonia. Loren normally teaches in the States. Where do you normally teach, Loren?
I teach at Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston.
What do you teach there?
I teach teach two courses, one entitled Ancient World Civilizations and the other Modern World Civilizations, both survey courses.
Yeah, and we have invited Loren to teach a course in the history of Sicily. So Loren, in a really couple of minutes, for those who don't know anything about the history of Sicily, can you tell us something and explain to us why it is relevant to study the history of Sicily and also the history of Sicily within the bigger picture of the history of the Mediterranean?
My specialty is the period of time up to the Roman period, so Roman period and earlier. I believe just in that period, Sicily has been visited by many different cultures throughout the Mediterranean, and it's geographically central to the Mediterranean world. So we have the Greeks coming from the east, and then we have influences from Spain and southern France, and then we have the north-south route up mainland Italy, and then south to Carthage and North Africa. So all of these cultures converge on Sicily, and it's been a land that's been contested throughout history. My course is intended for people who have no prior knowledge of the history, and it's wonderful to have this general overview of Mediterranean history with a focus on a particular land's role in that general history. And just in Taormina, you can even go one step further and utilize Taormina's role in that regard as well.
Talking about Taormina, we could say that you are teaching in context.
Correct.
Could you say a bit more about that? Why teaching history of Sicily and history of the Mediterranean is especially easy in Taormina?
Well, I think with any study abroad, my teaching philosophy is one of experience. I try to immerse my students within history, try to make it I regard history as still living and breathing. It's not in the past, and I do not think history should be taught by memorization of dates, memorization of names. We are in Taormina. We have history all around, and I want to use that to my advantage. And I think the students appreciate that as well, because it opens up their eyes.
For those who don't know Taormina, who never been here in Taormina or in Sicily, what can you find here that fits with your history course?
Well, there are tons of Roman ruins, Roman remains. You have a lot of, you have some Byzantine, you have the Saracen castle at the top. You've got 16th, 17th, 18th century rebuildings, and it's you have to know what you're looking to look at, and then all of a sudden it becomes clear. But we're sort of blessed in the sense that history is right outside these gates.
You were saying correctly that you don't like to teach history just as a list of different dates and events. How important is today for a U.S. citizen, a U.S. Student especially, to know more about the history of Mediterranean, related to what is happening all around the Mediterranean right now?
Well, there's a saying, history repeats itself, and it does. We have to just sort of learn that and then apply the past to the present day. Lots of conflicts, present-day conflicts, have histories that have just boiled over, but have to have an understanding of the past in order to contend with the present. Again, that's my personal belief. So.
How do you feel this study abroad experience has enriched your students?
I think it's. I mean, it well, provides them something with that they can't get through textbooks in the States. And they're lucky in the sense that, you know, they're visiting a new country, they're interacting with other people that they normally would not, and they're I mean, the beauty about Europe is, again, history is right outside the door, which with the United States, it's usually just colonial or, you know, stuff like that, but it doesn't pertain to ancient world civilizations. And again, that's the beauty of teaching in any study abroad program.
You were saying before that you like to teach in context, and you walked with your students all around Taormina, and not only Taormina, you went down to the first Greek colony in Sicily, in Naxos, Giardini Naxos, and in other parts in Sicily. According to what you have heard from your students, what has impressed your student more in walking around, fully immersed and surrounded by history, as you said before?
Well, one of the things that I teach is that Taormina, in any of these major conflicts, be it the First Punic War or World War II, Taormina was a holdout. Was one of the holdouts simply because of its natural geography, the topography of the land, and in order to sort of get this in the mindset of my students, you know, I took them up to, say, we'll say Castamola, and the walk up there, the hike, I should say, drilled that experience, convinced my students that yes, Taormina is naturally defensible, and they will forever, they will leave with that understanding, and it provides a new understanding of history because they've walked it. They've personally they have this personal connection with history now. They were placed in the role of, say, an invading soldier or something like that.
How did your students feel about the fact that actually we still use some of our most important monuments for our, let's say, daily life? Say, for example, during your stay here, the film festival was on, and part of the film festival took place at the Greek theater. The use of the Greek theater, for example, such an important monument, astonished or surprised your students that an important monument, it is still allowed to do performances, for example, in such a beautiful architectural and historical monument?
Well, I think that's quintessentially Mediterranean. I mean, I've seen that happen in Greece, I've seen that happen in Spain. Again, America doesn't really have that much history, relatively speaking, but it also feeds into my philosophy that the past is still with us in the present, that you know, the past does not have to be dead.
So your students could feel that the stones they were walking on were the same stones where many people, many other civilizations walked on.
Correct.
From the Greeks and the Romans and the Arabs and the Normans and so on and so
Correct.
forth.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. So we thank you very much, Loren, for being with us, and we hope to see you back to Taormina very, very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.